Hello, everyone. This is Michael Govier from the Cinema 9 podcast, and you are listening to Pop Goes Your World.
If you haven't already, subscribe on iTunes. And while you're there, please leave us a rating and review.
And now it's time for our feature presentation.
I'm Chris McBrien, and the pop culture from Generation X is everything to me.
And I'm Derek Myers, and I'm here to educate Chris on the great pop culture of today's generation.
Episode 329, the worst movie casting ever. I'm Chris McBrien along with Derek Myers, and this is Pop Goes Your World, the pop culture podcast for the generations. This week, Derek and I thought it would be fun to take a look at some of the worst casting decisions in movie history. So we each put together a top 5 list, and we're going to run those down shortly. But before we do, Derek, what pop culture have you been able to take in since last time?
Hey, Chris.
Hi.
Well, it has been a few weeks. How have you been?
Good. I'm doing good. The summers are harder for us to record, but it's both because we're both so busy. So I've been busy, but good busy.
Well, and I mean, you're a teacher, right? Mm-hmm. So you get the summers off. So I can only imagine your summers are twice as busy as, say, my summers, which are not nearly 2 months of consecutive vacation.
Yeah, I'm very lucky. I do get lots of time off, but I do lots of stuff with my kids and stuff like that, so it keeps me hopping.
Yeah, fair enough. And I have been at my job 25 years, so I actually have a fair amount of vacation time myself, which I have been trying to take full advantage of this summer. And so far, so good. But anyway, back to your original question about pop culture.
Yes.
I have a lot to talk about this week, so
okay.
Buckle up. I am not going on the 5-minute timer. We are just going to go through the list because it's been a few weeks.
All right. Educate me.
So, speaking of the 5-minute timer.
Yes.
I have been going back through our archives and listening to our older episodes.
Oh,
every time we do a
hold
show, every time we do a show, I download it onto my phone and I'm like, I'll get to it. And I must have had 50 episodes. And I was like, holy cow, I really got to get on these. So I've been going back and listening to them over the last couple of weeks. And number one, they sound great. Most shows, we really sound like we know what we're doing.
Yeah, amazing.
To the casual listener, you would think that, we were a couple of pros at this. It's almost like we've been doing this for 8 or 9 seasons in a row.
No kidding.
And so I listened to a bunch of the episodes where I was at the top saying, like, put me on the 5-minute timer so I don't go over. So we are not doing that today. In any case.
That's fine.
So I'm going to start with books.
Okay.
As I have mentioned recently, I have been listening to the audiobooks of a series called Dungeon Crawler Carl.
Yes, you've mentioned that before.
This series, so I got through the last book recently. Mm-hmm. There are 7 books in the series so far, and the author Matt Dinniman is in the process of writing book 8. The last book, This Inevitable Ruin, fantastic. Like, I honestly cannot remember the last time I've been engaged in a series like this where every book just is leaps and bounds better than the one that came before it. And considering how strong the very first book was, this is saying a lot. And I've joined some of the social media groups to see what other people are saying. And I honestly, Chris, I think I said this on the last show. I think we're right on the cusp of this becoming the next big social media and popular culture thing. Like, remember when Game of Thrones, people had read the books and then it came on HBO and suddenly, boom, it was everywhere. I think this is like that. I think this is right on the cusp of becoming the next big thing. So I strongly encourage everyone.
Though, for me, it's that the title's not great. Like, it's not, I don't know. That's what I think.
Well, and I think while it may seem strange, after you read or listen to the first 1 or 2 chapters of the book, the title actually makes perfect sense for what it is. And knowing that it's going to become a TV series, I think next year, the year after, it was picked up. And I mentioned this before, Seth MacFarlane from Family Guy, American Dad, his production company has picked this up. I believe it's going to be animated, but who knows? It's coming out. And so the San Diego Comic-Con happened in the last week or two. And everything I was reading from SDCC kept saying, like, what is Dungeon Crawler Carl? Why is there so much of a big presence here at San Diego Comic-Con about this thing? Because people were just not aware of it. Mm-hmm. And it was one of those things where it's like, if you know, you know. And yeah, I'm really getting a sense that this is going to be the next big pop culture thing. So if you want to get in on the ground floor, Dungeon Crawler Carl, the author is Matt Dinneman. There's 7 books. If you can get them on Audible, the voice actor is outstandingly good. And the content is just next level, out of this world.
Well,
like,
this is your job
check
around here,
it
educating me and their listeners on all this new stuff because, I'm just stuck in the past. So I appreciate it.
All right.
Okay.
Let me race through a few movies here for you. Had a chance to go to the theater and saw the latest Marvel Cinematic Universe offering. So a lot of people are saying Marvel Cinematic Universe has taken a nosedive off a cliff and they are not doing a good job in the last year or two.
What are they making now? I thought they were kind of done.
Well, the new offering is Fantastic Four.
Oh,
it's called Fantastic Four First Steps.
But Fantastic Four was done. Wasn't it done like a while ago with like Jessica Alba or something like that?
They've had 4 movies over the last 25 years, different casts, different producers, different writers. It's sort of like Spider-Man, where a group had the rights and they're like, if you don't keep making these movies, you're going to lose the rights. So they throw out a garbage movie just so they don't lose the rights. Well, Marvel came back and said, we've had enough of that. We're taking it back. And so they put out this movie. I would say good, not great. A lot of people are like, this is the best MCU movie. I'm like, it is definitely the best MCU movie we've had in a while. Do I think it is better than the Avengers or Iron Man? Not a chance. Do I think it is good? Absolutely. Do I think that it'll help push them forward? Yes. But again, I didn't really feel that it had that capital W wow that I was expecting. Again, I'll be honest, I'm not a huge fan of the Fantastic Four. But I thought the movie did a pretty good job. I thought there were a lot of stylistic choices that were choices. Mm-hmm. And I think most of them worked, but I think they did a really good job of trying to separate this new set of characters from what has come before. They needed to sort of be like, we are washing the dishes and starting a new meal with this. And that was very much what the Fantastic Four felt like. This is where we're going next. And I get it. But I think we're almost 40 movies into the MCU by now. Again, good but not great is how I've been telling people. I don't want to give too much away because I think a lot of people are going to enjoy it. But for me, it was just okay. Then we saw another new one on Netflix this week, Happy Gilmore, Part 2.
Oh, yeah. What's that like? I mean, I liked the first one. Obviously, I thought I was a big fan of that.
I think everybody liked the first one.
I have no desire to see this thing.
I'll be honest. When I watched Happy Gilmore 1 the very first time, I was not a huge fan, but over the years, I've really come to enjoy it and really come to love it. It has a lot of quotable lines. It's got a lot of good stuff in it. This one,
great cast. I love Chubbs. Oh, man.
The original, definitely great cast. This one had a lot of callbacks and a lot of pretty much everyone who was in the first one that's still alive was in the second one in some way, shape, or form. It obviously, because it's become such a huge movie over the years, the PGA Tour was very cooperative and a lot of professional golfers are in this and they're at the Masters and you get to see them like at real places. Again, it was not great. I mean, it was exactly what you expect it to be when Adam Sandler revisits a property that's 30 plus years old. It was a nice visit, but I don't think I'm ever going to have to see this second part again. I would much rather just go back and watch the first one 2 or 3 more times.
That's what I always say.
I mean, it's on Netflix. It doesn't cost you anything. Yeah. So sure, give it a watch. Why not?
Did it go out in theaters or did it just go right to streaming?
No, right to Netflix.
It's not like in the old days when it would go straight to DVD was a bad thing. Now it's actually not a bad thing to go straight to streaming, I guess.
Well, exactly. A ton of movies do. Yeah. Unless they think it's going to like potentially win awards, because some of the awards like the Oscars still have these archaic rules where it's like, if it doesn't appear in the theater for so many days before, it's like, come on, like people don't go to the theater anymore. Like if it's a good movie, it's a good movie, just reward it. And this one was definitely not winning any Oscars. Don't let me lead you down that road. Anyway, I'm going to cut off a couple of my list. I'm going to go to the last one I had, which was a documentary.
Oh, you're going to do a documentary. Nice.
40 days and 40 nights. Watch documentaries. He likes to learn about the world. It's Derek's Documentaries. Derek's Documentaries.
Nice. You can save those other ones till next time. What do we got for the documentary, please?
Yeah. So it's a 4-part documentary series. I actually have only watched the first 2, but the other 2 are on my PVR. Mm-hmm. And it's about Live Aid, Remember Live Aid from 1985?
Oh, yeah.
With all the musicians, Feed the World in Africa, and all the rest of that stuff. Yeah. So CNN, I mean, trust me, CNN does great documentaries. So it's a 4-part series. They're an hour apiece. We watched the first 2 so far. It's called Live Aid: When Rock and Roll Took on the World. So the first episode is about how Bob Geldof put together Band Aid in the UK, and how he sort of he basically saw about the famine in Africa and went, I'm an artist, I have a platform, I know people, we can make a difference. And they did this song and they raised all this money, and then that was pretty much the first episode, was all about just sort of the foundation of how did this start. And then the second episode is basically getting the Americans involved. They did the USA for Africa, We Are the World, and like, hey, if UK can do it, America can certainly do it better. And the big thing with the US was the US version was Lionel Richie, Quincy Jones, Michael Jackson, and oh my God, I'm blanking on the last guy's name. Anyways, 4 black musicians, and they were like, all the UK people doing this. These are all, Lionel Richie, Michael Jackson, Quincy Jones, and Stevie Wonder, and they were like, hey, there's a lot of white people helping out a lot of black people. What's going on? And they're like, we're famous musicians. We're black people. Black people should help black people. And it's like, we can get this done. And so there, I mentioned previously, there was a documentary about a year ago, a little less than a year ago, that was about the behind the scenes of how they did the We Are the World song, which was fantastic. It was a one-shot, 90-minute deal documentary. So this second episode of this docuseries featured a little bit of that. And it was like, how did the USA come to the party? And then it actually talked about putting together the Live Aid concert itself. And so by the end of the second episode, we got the first half of the Live Aid concert, the UK component, and then it basically ended with, and now it's time for the American artists to come on. And then, so, I mean, the next third part of this series, we're going to get all the USA stuff. And then it also, because they keep showing previews, this is what's coming next, is because there's 2 more episodes. We're like, where are they going next? But they talk about how this wasn't just a one-time dealio in 1985, how they've done other Live Aid, the charity itself, its long-term effects. They did the Live Aid a few years back. They've done like Farm Aid and other charitable events where rock and roll and pop musicians have come together to make a difference, to, you know, help famine, help farmers, help the people that need it. So yeah, no, it's really good. It shows a lot of behind the scenes stuff, and so many of the performers that were involved are interviewed. Some of them now, but I guess in 2004 they must have done a documentary, because a ton of artists are interviewed, and it says like so and so 1984, or pardon me, 2004. Especially artists that have since passed away. You have people like David Bowie and George Michael, and you're like, oh, well, obviously these people have died in the last decade. And it's like, but there was this interview series that was done in 2004 where all of the performers that were live then, which was probably just about everybody, did all these interviews and stuff. So you have this really good perspective where you have even artists that are no longer with us are still able to be a participants in this documentary. So yeah, it's really, really good. It's called Live Aid: When Rock and Roll Took on the World. It's on CNN. Unfortunately, CNN never seems to show their stuff on demand, but they do re-air them from time to time. So if you have your PVR set up and you see this 4-part series come in the mix, you should record it. It is fantastic.
Very cool. Okay, so for me, Derek, you and I are podcasters, obviously.
From time to time.
We've mentioned this before, that we not only make a podcast, we actually are podcast listeners ourselves.
Oh, yeah.
You've mentioned one of your favorite podcasts is The Rewatchables. You mentioned that several times. You like that show.
One of the movies I didn't talk about today was a movie that I only watched because they did an episode. We'll talk about that next week.
Yeah. Now, I've mentioned several times here on the show, my all-time favorite podcast is Vintage Video. It's got Patrick O'Reilly, Richard Wells, and Jesse Bayless. And they all 3 of them work in the film industry out in Hollywood. We've actually had Patrick O'Reilly as a guest here on our show. Episode 239, B-Movies of the 80s. We had him on.
Good show. Good guest.
Yeah, he was a great guest. So what they do over there is they watch and review every single movie released in the 1980s in chronological order, starting with January of 1980. So far to date, they have reviewed 578 films over 5.5 years. It's taken to do this. They're only on 1982. He mentioned that Patrick did that. He mentioned that it takes around 20 to 30 hours a week to produce the show. Like research, watching the film, recording, editing, all that. They really do deep dives on their information. So sadly, they just announced they're going on hiatus. Jobs, kids, work, and life just caught up to them, as they, it does to a lot of our fellow podcasters. It's why I had to leave Dear Mr. Fantasy back in 2016. The research and the work of it is just like overwhelming, right? So Patrick put out an announcement on the show's going on hiatus. And I want to quote Patrick directly here because his words are wise indeed. Okay, so, and I quote, this is from Patrick. If you or anyone you know is feeling burnt out or overworked by a passion project, there's no shame in putting it down to catch your breath. And I thought those words ring really true for all of us, like you and I have had to take a breather around here from time to time, usually in the summer. We're talking about our personal schedules getting in the way. It's a little hectic, right? Because this podcast is a passion project too. It's like all independent podcasts are really. So it got me thinking, and there's just something I want to say. Okay. I absolutely love doing this podcast as much today as I did when we first started doing this almost 10 years ago. I really hope we can keep it going, because Derek, I love hanging out with you every week and talking pop culture. I really, really do. So I hope we can just, get through all this life stuff and just be able to keep doing this forever. So I just want to say that.
I appreciate that. Thanks, Chris. No, me too. I have so much fun doing this, and I hope that people, we have loyal listeners, and we don't necessarily have the metrics that we'd like, but we know people listen. We get feedback from our friends and our listeners, and we know that people do listen, and we hope that they enjoy it week to week. And to your point, we try and put out the best show every week. This show, I hope, is better than the show we put out last week, and I think next week's show will be even better than this show. And when we get to a point where we don't feel that the next show is as good as the one we did before, that's when we got to start questioning, do we need a break or do we hang it up? And I think so far we continue to trend upward. So let's keep doing it.
I will say in my spare time, I am going to miss those shows for Vintage Video. It is an amazing podcast. They are so much better at this than anyone I know. I'm going to miss them. I really like that. I wish them.
Chris, do you recall off the top of your head? Yep. So they were starting, I think, in January 1980. Yep. Where are they chronologically? Where they finally took
the
their
last
pause?
one that I heard would be like in the summer of '82.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
So there's a lot of movies come out like every week.
No kidding.
The number of movies that come out, especially then. But anyway, so I just wanted to give them a shout out because I just love their podcast and I just think that they're fantastic at what they do and I just wish them all the best. So, okay. Also, I got this.
Here's your dad joke of the week.
Derek, why did the Black Eyed Peas not call themselves the Chickpeas?
I have no idea.
Because the Black Eyed Peas can sing us a song. The Chickpeas can only hum us one.
Jeez. Can you hear my eyes rolling in the mic? Because they're rolling.
I'm like a little kid at Christmas.
Were you wearing your neck full of gold?
I love Christmas. I always have.
Okay.
I thought it would only be fitting that I write a song.
Boo. Boo.
Cause we all got to go up Shit's Creek.
There's 3 piles of poop. Which one do you like the most? Well, this one.
I guess that's just my groove.
Did you drink a lot of rum and then record? Like, is that the connection?
All right, so Derek, I think it might have been you that actually originally floated the idea of this week's topic. But I got to say, it's timely for me. So my wife and I started binging a new show recently, Hacks. Have you heard of it?
I have. Yeah, it's won a bunch of awards.
It's starring Jean Smart, and she plays this
Fantastic
stand-up comic doing like a residency in Vegas. And she hires this younger kind of like out-of-work writer to write material for her. So it's kind of like a clash of generations thing, something we can relate to, So I really like the show a lot. Jean Smart is amazing. My God, she's so good. But the thing is about this show, I keep saying this to my wife, the actress that plays the young writer, I feel like she's miscast. Like it works, the show works in spite of it, mostly because it's a very, very well-written show. But I keep saying that to my wife. I said, you know that show White Lotus? You watched that, right?
I did, yes.
In season 2, there's the young girl that works as the assistant to what's her face, Jennifer Coolidge. You know who I mean?
Yes.
She gets mixed up with the one guy, like with the bad guys and all that.
Yes.
I keep saying to my wife that actress, she would be perfect in this part in Hacks. Like she would just bring something to this part, like kind of vulnerable, but she can kind of hold her own. She's got a good sense of comic timing too, I feel. Every time I watch Hacks, I picture her, that actress. I don't know her name. I picture her playing the part of this writer. So in my opinion, Hacks is miscast. So perfect timing for us to talk about miscasting, in movies, but we want to focus on the movies for this, not TV shows. So since you came up with this idea, maybe you want to run down why you thought this might be an interesting topic for us to take on.
Sure. So I'll explain sort of why I wanted to do it, but I'll also sort of set my ground rules, because as we always do with these lists, I sort of have to box myself in a little bit, or when, you have everything in front of you, it's harder to do. So again, I won't go into specifics because I don't want to hurt anyone's viewing experience of some of the things that I might have watched where I had strong feelings about it. But I have watched, like you, some things recently where while I enjoyed the movies and TV series, I have felt that some of the characters have been grossly miscast to the point where I enjoyed it a lot less than I expected to or felt that I should have, because some of the performers, while they might have been good, were clearly the wrong choices for some of these roles. And in a couple of cases, when I watched some of these same things with my wife, we both sort of looked at each other and went, what did you think of so-and-so? And I'm like, not who I would have cast for that. And we've sort of been like, yeah, really. And it occurred to me how often performers are only in a project because they are the it person, or they are hot right now, or maybe they have a contract with the studio. They must appear in the next 4 movies. And you're like, oh my God, this person's clearly just running down their contract. But we, as the audience, don't always know and understand that. And nor should we have to. I want to know when I go to see a film or watch a TV series that I'm getting the best artists, the best people in these roles. And largely you do, but not always. And sometimes when it's bad, oh boy, is it bad. So anyway, that was sort of why I had suggested this to you. The other, the flip side of this coin was, when do they cast someone where you sort of go, oh my God, that's going to be who they're casting? And then you watch and you're like, I cannot believe how good that was.
Yeah,
and that's a podcast for another day.
Yeah,
but for now, we're going to look at the downside of it. And
almost like casting surprises is something.
Exactly.
Like, no,
exactly. So I have some ground rules, but I wanted you to be able to respond and react to what I just said before we move on to that.
Yeah. I mean, like for me, casting is everything. I think, like I was just saying, like that show Hacks, like the casting, it just doesn't work when you watch a show like WKRP in Cincinnati, one of my favorite shows of all time, as you know. And one of the things that makes it so good is is it well written? Yeah, it's pretty well written, good show, but it's the casting. Like the casting is so important to things. So you got to get it right. I think it's really, really important. And like, right in the opening credits of the film, of every movie, you've got like casting. Like it's a big part of the movie making process. It gets right up front, and you got to get it right. You absolutely have to get it right. And it's amazing how much they get it wrong. And I think, like you said, when you go into kind of things, you expect to see a certain thing or whatever, like, I don't know, they have to get the casting right. And it's one of the things to me that is, one of the biggest downfalls for some shows, movies, all that sort of thing. But there are some in history that are just definitely worth calling it. We decided to put together a top 5 list, and we're going to start with our number 5 and work our way up. But you can start us off with your number 5, and then we'll go from there. What do you got?
Yeah. So I'll talk my ground rules first here, but I do want to also just piggyback on what you said. This year is going to be the first year that the Academy Awards give out an Oscar for casting.
Ooh, so I did not know that.
I think that Hollywood and the people that make movies and by extension television are starting to realize exactly what you just said. Casting is vitally important to a project. And if the right or wrong people are in your project, that can really make or break the project, whether it's a movie or a TV series or a play or whatever. And again, I get it. Some people just want to cast their friends. I can't fault that. If I was in the movie business, and I had friends that were performers, I would cast them too. But sometimes you need the right person for the job. And we're going to talk about that tonight, how if you get the wrong person for the job, it can just be a real,
we could still be talking
sinker.
about it like 50 years later, like some of the ones were good.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
All right.
So
your number
before
five.
I get into my number five. So, one of the things that I had to sort of come to terms with was, in many cases, movies are adapted from other mediums.
Sure.
Often and traditionally, it's been a book or a play. Mm-hmm. More recently, it's included things like comic books or a TV series or an anime. Mm-hmm. Again, Hollywood's always looking for the next big thing, but why go with an original idea when you can lean on an idea that's already been done and has proven successful? So I really tried to stay away from things like casting in the Marvel Universe, casting in the DC Universe. I also tried to stay away as much as I could from casting where it was like, well, in the book, this character is described as XYZ, but in the movie, they're not. And I'm thinking to myself, well, that's great. But if I don't know that there's a book and I don't know that in the book they're described a certain way, I will often go into a movie and just be like, I thought that was great. And then people go, well, in the book, that guy is cast as such and such. And it's like, okay, well, now I'm starting to second guess it. So rather than go down that road, I tried to stay away from that as much as possible. But with my number five pick, I want to just sort of go into that, but then that's it. I'm going to stay away from it. Okay. The other one is like, if it's a movie franchise where there have been a lot of installments, and I'll give you an example. James Bond, for example, there have been over 20 Bond movies that have spanned over 50 or 60 years. Mm-hmm. Everybody and their mother eventually wants to be in a James Bond movie. And often what that means is you get somebody cast in a movie simply because they're hot or somebody owes them a favor. And I mean, I don't mean hot appearance. I mean, like, they are currently cashing in as box office success. They're the it person. And believe me, there have been a lot of, more often than not, females that are like, well, I want to be in a Bond movie. And they're like, we're going to make you the next Bond girl. And it's like, yeah, but that's not really what this character should be. And I'm not even going to go down that road because there are just a billion examples of that. So anyway, that being said, we're getting a little on the long side here. I'm going to start with my number five picks. Go. I'm cheating. I'm going to call out one performer. Yeah. This performer has been miscast multiple times. Mm-hmm. A couple of these times it is because there's been a book that has been adapted, and a couple of times they're just badly cast. And I'm going with Tom Cruise. Mm. So we're going to start with his appearance in Interview with the Vampire and Jack Reacher.
Interview with the Vampire is a good one. Yeah.
Interview with the Vampire and Jack Reacher are two examples of books that have both been part of very successful franchises as books. And then when the movie adaptation came out, they cast Tom Cruise because he's a bankable performer. He can make money. And in both cases of those two franchises, he is so miscast because he is nothing like the character that is described in those books. Now, if you've never read the books, does that make it a difference? Maybe not. But I think in both of those cases, the reason those characters are so important and good and a vital part of these series is largely because of their appearance and the things they can do and the things that they represent. And Tom Cruise in those roles, 2 thumbs down. Mm-hmm. So yeah, my number 5 sort of a cheat. It's Tom Cruise in both Reacher and Interview with the Vampire. Trust me, I like Tom Cruise. He makes good movies most of the time. The Mission Impossible franchises, next level. Top Gun, like, he knows how to star in a film. But in these cases, these are adaptations of books. Wrong choice in both of them. So Tom Cruise, my number 5.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I'm going to go. Remember when you first started doing this podcast with me and you would always say, I do the textbook answer. I'm starting off with my textbook answer on this one.
Okay.
And I'm going way back. Is Mickey Rooney in Breakfast at Tiffany's. So he plays Mr. Yunioshi. So yes, you heard that right. If you're not aware of this movie or if you're too young to have seen it or heard much about it, Mickey Rooney, the whitest guy in the history of the world, plays a Japanese man, complete with fake teeth and like scotch tape over his eyes. It can't be as bad as all that, can it? Oh, yes, it is. It is. In fact, it's worse than you can imagine. So I'm not going to get into it too much. Just suffice to say, that Mickey Rooney doing a horrifically racist impersonation of a walking stereotype is just a total mess. And to make matters worse, if it's even possible, it's right smack dab in the middle of this otherwise really good movie. It's so bizarre that he is. So one thing I wanted to do too was come up with an alternative casting choice for my picks. Okay. So my alternative casting choice for Mickey Rooney, Breakfast at Tiffany's, I don't know, how about a Japanese actor, or better yet, rewrite the part so it's not a caricature. Like, that's the thing too. It's like, it's totally played for laughs. Oh, it's so bad. Mm-hmm. So number 5, Mickey Rooney, Breakfast at Tiffany's. They totally miscast. That's
totally the textbook answer, but I think you couldn't have this show without addressing it. So I'm glad you put it on your list.
So number 4.
All right. So one of the big problems, and this will lead to my number 4 here. One of the big problems with casting is when they need, say, the character is a teenager and they cast an adult, or
of course, yes.
The character is supposed to be 50, but they cast a 30-year-old and slap old person makeup on them. It's like, come on.
Yeah.
We are living in a time
in their hair and make it
where there are enough performers that you shouldn't have to cast above or below the age by more than a year or two. And if you are, you're doing it wrong, or you have other motivations in mind. So I'm going to lean right into your wheelhouse, and I'm going with the movie The Breakfast Club, and I'm talking about Judd Nelson, who at 24 years young plays a teenager who's in detention on a Saturday with a whole bunch of other performers who are actually teenagers. And let me tell you, he looks like a grown man.
He looks like he's 30
in this movie. He totally does. Although he's only 24, he looks 30.
Yeah.
And in the movie, he's supposed to be like putting the moves on Molly Ringwald, who I think was like 15 or 16 at the time of this movie. Mm-hmm. It is both creepy and gross. And I mean, Judd Nelson has some good lines, but no, there had to have been 10 better performers you could have had in this movie that would have, number one, given a better performance. Number two, been way closer in the age range that the character was supposed to be. And yeah, I mean, considering how important and pivotal Breakfast Club is as a movie to the 80s and to Gen X, this to me is a little bit of a black mark on what could have and should have and is otherwise a really good and important 80s movie. Judd Nelson, wrong choice.
Who would have been good in that role? I think Matt Dillon would have been good.
Yes, that's a great suggestion.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay, my number 4. No list like this would be complete without at least 2 textbook answers. So I'm going to another one. Kevin Costner and Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. So he's using a crappy British accent, and then he's not using a crappy British accent. Then he is again. He has zero charisma in this movie. Robin Hood should be like this super interesting character, that can be played so many different ways. But I think it would be best if it would be a little bit darker and brooding. Like, that's what I feel like an interesting Robin Hood would be, So my alternative casting choice would be Daniel Day-Lewis.
Oh my God. Can you imagine?
I think he would have been amazing in that role. Mel Gibson turned the part down. He would have been better than Costner. Anyone.
But he did like Braveheart like a year or two later. So yeah.
He was like, I've already done kind of something. So I think anyone would have been better than Kevin Costner. You know what? Mickey Rooney would have been better than him. At least he has experience using foreign accents. So there's that. So, all right, on to your number 3.
All right, my number 3. Speaking of foreign accents,
oh, good.
I got the granddaddy of them all here in this one.
Good, bring it on.
There was this fun little sci-fi fantasy movie that came out in the late 80s, early 90s called The Highlander, and it's about a Scotsman. And Sean Connery is in this movie. And you think, great.
Sean Connery's wearing like that onesie thing, like the Borat onesie?
No. That's a different one.
Hair? What is that?
No, that's was that Zardos or was that?
Know. I just remember seeing the pictures.
So anyway,
it gave me nightmares. So
let me go back to I'm painting a picture here, man. You're stepping on my foot here. Sorry. Okay. So you've got this movie called The Highlander.
Okay.
And it's about a Scotsman. And you're like, okay, I'm with you. And it stars Sean Connery. And you're like, great. Sean Connery as a Scotsman. I'm all in. No, wait. We've cast a Frenchman to be the Scotsman. I'm like, okay. So what? Sean Connery's his pal? No. There's a Spaniard who's an important character. Sean Connery is the Spaniard. It's like, What?
What?
Who, did you send them the wrong envelopes? Like, what's going on here? They're like, no.
They mixed up their scripts. Yeah.
Exactly. So Sean Connery is cast in The Highlander as the mentor to the young Scotsman, played by a Frenchman. And Sean Connery's character is supposed to be Spanish, but makes no effort to hide or mimic or mask his Scottish accent. And they're, like I've said before, and usually in like sci-fi movies where you're like, one line of dialogue is all you need, where you're like, I'm glad we have invented the so-and-so, so we have gravity and air on this thing. All they needed to do was put in one line of dialogue, how he's like, well, I'm 1,000 years old. And although I was born in Spain, I've lived in Scotland for the last 500 years. And that's why I have a Scottish accent. No, they didn't even bother to do that. They're like, it's this fantasy movie with, characters that live hundreds of years. It's easy to just throw a line of dialogue in there. And now I can forget. No, they don't even make an effort. Sean Connery just like, you can pay me how much? Yep, I'll play the Spaniard. Yeah. No problem. You want me to do a Spanish accent? Yeah, no, you're good. Okay.
I'll be Holly Golightly's Japanese neighbor if you want me to be.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it's. I like the Highlander movie. It's fun. But oh my God, Sean Connery playing a Spaniard with a Scottish accent, and the Frenchman playing the Scotsman with a French accent. I don't know what kind of cocaine-driven thing the casting department was on when they did this in the 80s, but it is just crazy. So that's my number one. Pardon me, my number 3 pick. Sean Connery in The Highlander.
I'm glad. Yeah. I never see that movie, so I'm educated about it now. Okay, my number 3. I'm going with Kate Capshaw in Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. As you know, I love Raiders of the Lost Ark, and sequels are always just sequels. They're never as good as the original. But this is not about crapping over Temple of Doom. I actually kind of like that movie. But Kate Capshaw, I thought, was awful in that movie. So in Raiders, you got Karen Allen, the amazing Karen Allen, who I personally thought should have been given an Oscar nomination for her role as Marion Ravenwood. That's my hot take on that. So you go from Marion Ravenwood, who was just like hard-drinking badass, wasn't afraid to pull a knife on someone, to the sequel where the female lead is a stereotypical damsel in distress with Kate Capshaw. Now, I know the character was obviously written that way, but I feel like a more talented actress could have sort of transcended the script and brought a lot to the part. So my alternative casting choice, first of all, Sharon Stone was considered for the part. I think she's too glamorous to pull that off. My choice would have been, are you ready? Kathleen Turner. Look how
she's just done Romancing the Stone.
But look at what she did as Jane Wilder in Romancing the Stone. Like that is what this part needed. I don't care that she just did it. She would have been amazing in Temple of Doom. I'm telling you, Kathleen Turner. That's my number 3. Number 2.
All right. Yeah. So before I go into my pick, yes. I want to say, and because this is related to my pick,
okay.
There are a lot of times in Hollywood movies, and this has been happening for a long time, as my pick will attest to, where you have an older man and a very, very young woman cast, and they eventually become romantically involved. And it has been accepted for a long time, but man, oh man, is it creepy. And I'm glad to say that you don't see it as much anymore, largely because women are now taken a lot more seriously when they complain about this kind of thing, because it shouldn't happen. But there have been a lot of examples where you have a really old, creepy man and a very young, hot, sexy woman, and they're supposed to have like this on-screen chemistry that just does not happen. So I was originally going to go with a more recent movie of Love Actually, where Keira Knightley and Chiwetel Ejiofor are getting married at the beginning of the movie, and there is an 8-year age difference between them, which is not tremendous. But when you look at Keira Knightley, actually is only 18 when this movie was shot, and he's 26. That seems a little creepy, but I'm not going to go with that. I'm actually going to go into our Wayback Machine to Singing in the Rain.
Oh, wow.
At which time Gene Kelly was 40 and Debbie Reynolds was 20.
Yeah.
And they end up having, quote, on-screen chemistry and are a couple. Now, and I don't want to forgive this, so I was going to say I forgive them, but I don't forgive them. One of the big reasons I can see why this particular pairing might have been excused was because this is a musical. You need people that can actually sing and actually dance.
Right.
And I gotta think, And you obviously need performers that people are going to recognize. You can't just go out to the whole wide world and cast anyone you want. You need bankable stars that can do these things. So in a case like this, your options are a lot more limited. So I understand in retrospect, 70 odd years later, why they did it. But man, oh man, to cast Debbie Reynolds and Gene Kelly together as a couple in this, kind of creepy. Now, do I think they could have and should have found a woman who was maybe 10 or 15 years older? Yes. But the way the movie's written, I don't necessarily know if that would have worked. Like, it's almost like built into the script that there should be this age discrepancy. But I think Gene Kelly at 40, I think that's where they really probably should have brought that age down. They probably should have found a male lead that was closer to 30 rather than trying to find a woman that was closer to 30. And yeah, but I'm going to go with the Gene Kelly part of that one as the bad casting. You needed someone who was significantly younger in that Singing in the Rain role. Now, again, he did a fantastic job. That guy can sing. That guy can dance. His off-screen thing, I'm not even going to go into because I know he was apparently a real perv. But yeah, my number 2 is Singing in the Rain. Gene Kelly, not the greatest casting in the world.
Yeah, there you go. Number 2, I'm going to go all the way back to 2004. Do you realize how hard it is for me to say that? All the way back to 2004.
No kidding.
It's like 21 years ago. My God, I'm still stuck in the 70s. How the hell are we going back 20 years to 2004? Anyway, back in 2004, I don't know if you can remember. I remember that summer. You couldn't go anywhere on planet Earth and not find somebody reading Dan Brown's The Da Vinci Code. Like, it was everywhere. And so I got on the bandwagon back then, and I read the book. Like most people, I liked it. I couldn't put it down. And then when I heard they were going to make it into a movie, I was all hyped. Like pretty much everybody, I think. And then when I heard it was going to star Tom Hanks as Robert Langdon, let's just say my enthusiasm waned, along with everyone else, I guess. I was less than impressed with the casting choice. And I like Tom Hanks. I think he's great. Did you ever read The Da Vinci Code?
Yeah, read it cover to cover. As soon as, once it started to become a thing, I can remember I was working at the Toronto Blue Jays that summer, and every day on the subway back and forth to work, I was reading it. And yeah, I couldn't put the book down. It was great.
Yeah, it was good. When you read it, did you get a mental picture of Robert Langdon?
Not vividly. And when they cast Tom Hanks, I did think he was a little old for the part. But at the time I was thinking, number 1 book of the year, arguably one of the most popular actors in America at the time. I'm like, wow, they are just, this is a license to print money. They're going to make all the money this year. And then when the movie crashed, I was like, didn't necessarily think that was the direction that was going.
Well, it's because of the whole point of that book is that you're trying to solve the mystery as it's unfolding as well. You're like immersed in the story, trying to piece it and figure everything out. And that was, even if you remember, there was like little like hidden codes on the outside of the
like puzzles and things. Yeah,
like it was all about total immerse. And so to see it all played out on the screen, I was like, what the hell? It was stupid. But I think in the book, if I remember correctly, Dan Brown describes Robert Langdon as Harrison Ford in tweed. Is, I believe, his exact words in the book. So
sounds right. Yeah.
My alternative casting choice, Harrison Ford.
Yeah.
Good pick. There's no, I mean, you could argue and say, well, he was Han Solo in Indiana Jones, but he was also John Book and Rick Deckard. He could have pulled it off. Absolutely. I think Harrison Ford would have been perfect in that movie. Yeah. I don't know if it would have saved the film because, again, it's the perfect book to read. You can pace it yourself. You can read as much as you wanted to. You could try and solve it, but to have it played out on screen, it's just not the same experience. So, but yeah, that's my number 2, Tom Hanks and the Da Vinci Code. So on to your number 1, my man.
All right. Number 1, I'm going to a movie from the 90s that was very, I don't want to say controversial, but certainly was a discussion, caused a lot of discussions. And that is Indecent Proposal.
Oh, okay.
Now, for those who maybe are not as familiar with this film, this has Woody Harrelson and Demi Moore as a married couple.
Right.
And then Robert Redford enters their lives and offers them $1 million for one night of sex with Demi Moore.
Right.
And the movie goes from there. And ultimately, when couples saw this movie, the drive home was quite uncomfortable because there was always the conversation of, what would you do for $1 million? Would you sleep with this person? Would you let me sleep with this person? Would you be upset if I slept with? And you're like, I don't necessarily want to have this conversation right now because I don't see any good answers here.
For $1 million, I'd spend a night with Robert Redford.
Yeah. So The casting problem I have with this movie is Woody Harrelson.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Because, I mean, no offense to him as a performer. I enjoy his work. He's been good in a lot of things, but he is, let me just say, not the most attractive Hollywood actor I've ever seen on screen.
True. Yeah.
So I don't believe for 1 second that Demi Moore would have been married to Woody Harrelson. So if that is what your husband looks, I'm sorry, Woody Harrelson, if you're listening, because I know you're a big fan of our show.
Yeah, exactly.
If Woody Harrelson and Demi Moore are married and she has a chance to go with Robert Redford, I don't see her hesitating for more than about half a second.
And it ain't
whether he offers her $1 million or a penny.
Yeah,
I don't see her hesitating. So I think that the casting of Woody Harrelson in the role as the husband was the big problem. Now, what I would love to have seen is a role flip. The correction I want to see is Demi Moore and Robert Redford as a couple at the start. And then Woody Harrelson comes in and says,
the ugly guy
I'm a millionaire.
Yeah.
I'm offering you $1 million. Now, if you've got Robert Redford at home, do you potentially give that up or ruin that relationship for $1 million to spend a night with Woody Harrelson? I don't know.
You're onto something here. This is good.
I don't think so. Yeah. It certainly changes the dynamic of the conversation and the dynamic of where the movie ultimately goes. Because spoiler alert, she does sleep with Robert Redford. But I don't know. To me, that is one of the most egregious casting mistakes ever.
Yeah, that's a good one.
The husband at the beginning had to be more attractive, sexually attractive, than the guy that's offering the $1 million. To have the guy be Robert Redford is arguably the most attractive sexual man of the generation of the 60s, 70s, and 80s. Of course the woman's going to sleep with him. He could say, here's a copy of yesterday's newspaper. Do you want to sleep with me? And she'd be like, yes, I do.
I'm in.
Yeah. Like, you got to really make it worth it. Like, she has to think like, this is not going to be something I'm going to like. I have to give up my dignity and my pride, and I'm going to get $1 million, but it's worth it. Who gives up their dignity to sleep with Robert Redford in the early 90s?
Exactly.
Nobody. Even men would have taken, Woody Harrelson would have taken that $1 million. Yeah. Robert Redford wants me to go to bed with him. I'm taking that for $1 million.
But if it was someone like Mickey Rooney in Yellowface, then it'd be like, yeah, okay, now I can see where we're going with this. It costs $1 million to do it. Yeah. No,
so that's my number one bad casting is, and again, no offense to Woody Harrelson, although he's probably offended by this. Sorry, Woody, man. I hope you keep listening. Yeah. But yeah, that's it. That's my number one pick. Woody Harrelson in Indecent Proposal.
I like that. That's a good one, man. I think that's a good one. Okay, my number one is a surprise to no one is Hayden Christensen as Darth Vader. Oh man, I hate the prequels. They suck. And the thing was, I thought things couldn't get much worse than the Phantom Menace, and then along comes Hayden Christensen. Good God. So my alternative casting choice, I had to think about this. I got two that I think could have done it. Chris Hemsworth. He's got that Aussie accent, but he could use that or lose it or whatever. Mickey Rooney can go.
Yeah, but he would have been like 6 when the movie came out.
20.
Come on.
He would have been 20 years old at the time.
Really?
Jason Momoa, also 20 years old at the time. I think Jason Momoa could have done it too. Both of those guys, they're big, imposing guys. Darth Vader is supposed to be this big, huge, imposing, figure. And they can both pull off that kind of brooding, sinister thing too, I think. And both would be a better choice than Hayden Christensen. So Mickey Rooney would have been a better choice than Darth Vader than Hayden Christensen. He was awful. So anyway, that's my number one. Hayden Christensen. God, I hated him in that movie. It was so bad. All right. What do you say that we have a little bit of
fun with Caveman?
Dude, man, me and you, we just love game shows. Don't we love game shows around here?
Absolutely.
All right, well, take a seat for me. All right, my man, you are taking a seat in the winner's circle of the $100,000 pyramid. You got to get to the top of the pyramid in 60 seconds, and you have to get 6 categories. These categories, all I can do is just give you lists, and you have to tell me what the category is. Okay? You know how to do this.
Okay.
You've seen the show before.
I do.
Before. All right. Are you ready?
Yeah, sure. Let's dive right in.
Go. E.T., Jaws, Close.
Steven Spielberg movies.
Yes. Dinosaurs, genetically engineered dinosaurs. John Hammond. Dr. Alan Graham.
Things about Jurassic Park.
Yes. Press Your Luck. Love Connection. Win, Lose, or Draw.
Game shows from the 80s.
Yes.
Game shows. Yes.
Darth Vader. Nurse Ratched. Hannibal Lecter. The Joker. Voldemort.
Villain. TV. Movie villains.
Fonzie. Latka Gravis. Steve Urkel. Kimmy Gibbons.
Breakout characters. Breakout characters from the 70s.
George
Characters
Costanza.
on lunchboxes from the 70s.
George Costanza. Kramer.
Oh my.
Fonzie. Urkel.
The funniest character on a show.
No, I'll pass.
Sit.
Angelina Jolie. Myra Sorvino. Marcia Gay Harden. Anna Paquin.
Female Oscar winners. Best supporting actress Oscar winners.
Fonzie, Latka Gravis, Steve Urkel, Kimmy Gibbler.
Characters with catchphrases. Sitcom characters with catchphrases.
That was tough. It was tough. It was supporting characters. TV
supporting. I've danced all around it.
I had to get the word supporting in there to be able to get that. But oh man, you did good on all the other ones.
Yeah.
Really, really good. Oh man, I tell you. Hey, not bad. So you got, when you get there, you got $450. Checks in the mail. Not bad.
Done.
All right. Hey, way to go. All right.
Wait,
so
are those Canadian dollars or are those
it will
some
be
foreign currency?
No, it'll be in Canadian dollars. It'll be in actually in respect of Mickey Rooney, it'll be Japanese yen. So there you go.
Oh, geez. Okay.
Okay. So next time that we're back, we're going to be doing a movie review. It's over to me to pick a movie. I'm going to go back to the 80s. Big shocker there.
Shocking. Come on. Do better than Karate Kid, man.
You were talking about the Karate Kid was so good. Oh my God. So you were talking about Singing in the Rain. And, lots of dancing in that movie. There can be a lot of dancing in this movie from 1984. We're going back with Kevin Bacon. We're going to watch Footloose.
Really?
Oh, what? Oh, jeez.
Okay.
2 in a row.
I will watch it because you have asked me to watch it, but
they made a remake of this movie, didn't they?
They did make a remake. Do you want me to watch a remake?
No,
that might
I don't want
better.
I don't want anything to do with the remake. It's the original 84 Footloose that we are going to watch.
Okay, fine. If you want me to watch the remake, pardon me. If you want me to watch the original, I will watch it.
You can watch the remake if you want, but I ain't going to watch it. So I'll be a short podcast, let me tell you. Okay, so we're going to come back next time. We're going to watch and review Footloose for you. Until then, I am Chris McBrien. That's Derek Myers. And on behalf of our producer, Sloth, all three of us just want to say thanks for taking the time to listen to Pop Goes Your World, the pop culture podcast for the generations.
Thanks for listening to Pop Goes Your World. You can contact Chris and Derek at popgoesyourworld.com. Please take a minute and review the podcast on iTunes or wherever you download and listen to the show.